As you tune in this week, just be advised this episode has some explicit material in it. So if you got kids in the car or anyone that doesn't want to hear anything like that, just go ahead and go on to the next episode.
Hello, welcome to Entertain This, a podcast about movies, TV shows, and video games, and a special guest appearance. Appearance. I'm working on no sleep and 3 Red Bulls now, so bear with me. But today we're discussing the Annihilation of Man, and we have our 2 special guest speakers, the creators of the show, Joey Thurmond and Raxiel.
Raxiel Liz, but y'all can call me Rax.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry, I didn't want to mess up.
No, you're good.
I could have done the Alec Baldwin thing and just.
Just be glad that he pronounced it first.
Yeah. If it was Mitch, it would have been a lot worse. So, we got a menagerie of questions. We all watched the show. Great show. Congratulations.
Thank you.
6 episodes and season 2, right?
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, obviously, at the end.
It definitely is. It's just it was a task for season 1 to get accomplished. So for me, it's like shit. Season 2. But yeah, definitely season 2, 3. You know, we'll go into. I got a plan. How I want this to go.
Yeah. Let's dig into it. Let me start off with where did the original concept, the first idea of the show, when did that happen?
Yeah.
Walk me through that.
Well, we had exhausted every possible good angle that we had, and this was just what was left over. So we just decided.
Okay, I've been there before.
What the fuck is that?
Have you guys been listening to our podcast?
Hey, yeah. No, it's funny. I did Mistakes and Monsters with him as a film. My first time doing like a whole feature film. I've done a lot of shorts and stuff like that, and I met him through casting, and we cast him for Mistakes and Monsters, which he did a phenomenal job on that. And then through that we became friends. Mm-hmm. So time went by, and I like to write scripts randomly when I have a random idea. So I have like a bunch of scripts, from Annihilation of Man to other joints. And one day we was talking, I told him, hey man, I think I'm ready to film something big. I want to film a show, this and that. But the funny part is originally, I just wanted to film 1 episode. Mm-hmm. Really like a pilot.
Okay.
And like include all the details into this 1 pilot.
Okay.
And then I wanted to take that pilot and either put it on YouTube or whatever advertisement gimmicks I can get to, whether I pay for it or not, but I just wanted to get it out there and have this really, really dope, strategic, well-put pilot to pitch. That was my whole plan.
Okay, when was this? When was the pilot written?
The pilot was written, what are we on, 2023?
Yep.
Maybe 2021.
Okay.
Like the skeleton for it was done. Like I do a lot of scripts like that. I'll do skeletons, and then the ones I like the most, I'll be like, hey, I'm going to dedicate time to this, then I go back and like finish it. Mm-hmm. So I had that, and I went through a bunch of scripts, and there was other films that I attempted to film, and some that I actually finished. Like I finished a short film called Lion in the Sands, a film about mental health and everything like that. That's already out. So then I wanted to film something of how I really wanted to watch TV.
Right.
Like, I'm a big fan of, I don't mean to give props to another show right now, but I got love for everybody. But The Boys.
Yeah, it's a great show.
I fucking love The Boys.
Yeah.
We was talking about right in here, The Boys. I don't know if you've ever seen C on Apple TV with Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Man, I just love things like that. I'm like, man, nobody's done this.
Yeah.
And not only nobody's done it, the directors, the writers, the actors, they wasn't scared. They were, main character, whatever, kill them. Do this, do that. They're going to hate us for this? Do that. You know what I mean? So I wanted something like that I can reach. Like I wasn't trying to write something that like was out of my budget, so to say, and they make it look all corny and everything.
Right.
So when me and him got together, we was talking, and I was like, man, I want to do this and that. So he said, what you got? So I actually presented a few films to him, like a few scripts. I was like, I got this, I got this, I got this. So I didn't want to like guide him into AM on purpose and talk too much about it. I just showed him a few things. And he picked it. He was like, oh, this sounds crazy. What is this? So I was like, I'm glad you picked that. And I described the idea, and I was like, hey, man, nobody's ever done a show with everything that's actually happening right now. The whole social media.
Right.
The racist killings and the this and this and that. Or, just compound everything that's really social media is plagued with right now. Between corrupt cops, government, feeding us nonsense, the riots, just whether you black, white, Hispanic, Asian, it just all the shit that's just happening.
Yeah.
And make a simple story and blow it up into something that's really happening right now, and like just fuck up the scene with it.
I hear you.
So
How long into this till you realized you were being manipulated?
Oh, it was day one.
Day
It was
one?
absolutely
You picked
day
it
one.
up?
Yeah,
Yeah?
it was absolutely
All
day
right.
one. Yeah, I'm just the token. I'm the
token white guy?
Well, because I'm the only actor in Atlanta that even associates himself with being Native American. So he was like, "Oh, well, that's got to be the guy." So I knew from day one that But we were good. We kept the corn comments.
no,
down-
yeah,
down
it
to
was a
a
lot of things that got
rock
cut out.
throwing.
It was
Yeah.
things that we wanted to put in, things that got cut out. And there was times people were like, hey, we should do this. And I'm like, nah, that's not going to
Who was
go right.
who was the Robert Frost who killed the most lines in the script here? Who was like, no, take it down a notch the most?
I would say I was definitely saying that we got to tone it down now.
Yeah, he
but
was.
I'm with going all the way. Don't get me wrong, because
Yeah.
that was my main purpose. Like, I was like, I don't want to be scared to do nothing.
Right.
At the same time, though, I don't want to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
I don't want to be, what's the word I'm looking? I don't want to be tasteless. You know what I mean? I want to be tasteful when I'm doing it, but
Keep it
still cross the line. But cross the line the way that when the viewers watching, they're like,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
That's edgy, but I think I'm gonna let it slide just because of the situation.
That's why he said that to me. It might be a fight, but on TV, I can let it ride.
So
Yeah.
now I feel
So
different.
I was like, I was real careful what we were saying. Like, not real careful, but I was paying attention to what we were saying, what we was doing, and nothing really got cut out. Like, there wasn't a lot of stuff that got cut out. I would say probably like, if I had to take a number, maybe like 5 little lines got cut out. That I was like, and then I remember there was one scene where we were saying something. I can't remember what it is. It's in my computer, but it's like I had to like find a way to abbreviate a sentence, but I didn't want to cut the sentence out. And I was just like, man, just that one word is making this paragraph just sound
Crazy.
out of control.
Yeah.
I was like, because the script was there, and I swear to God, the only people that was following the script was the other actors. Like everybody
Oh,
else that we
absolutely.
got involved.
Yeah,
Like we hired them, so they were like following it to a T.
Yeah.
And sometimes they would look at us like, that's not in the script. Because we'll just say something off the whim. Like, oh, motherfucker, da, 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 da. And they were like,
I didn't see that on there.
So you guys improvised a good bit in your shots here and there?
There was, and I think
Yeah.
that after probably the first episode, we had went back and forth enough that we knew who these guys were. You know what I mean? We knew how they were going to go, and then the little changes that came in, like you see the characters, you think that maybe they're just because they obviously don't know what the hell they're doing.
Right.
You know, they have no clue about what they're doing, which I think is fantastic.
Right.
But then what you see later on is you're like, okay, is he enjoying that, or is he just a little bit crazy because he got a little too excited when this happened, or when that happened?
Yeah, I gotta say, in the episode 1, I was like, "This is a really serious show," and it just flipped by episode 2.
it's funny. I was going to touch on that. That's
yeah.
funny.
So, I mean, like, what?
That actually wasn't supposed to happen.
No.
That's funny you said that because
Yeah.
that wasn't that's not how it was written. The script was way different than that. It was influenced by him that a lot of the comedy elements started coming in.
Okay.
And I remember sitting down at home, my wife, and I'd be like, "Am I getting off topic?" Like, and then she'd be like, "No, I think it helps it."
Right.
You know, she was like, and she said something pretty good that made me go, "Okay, I could keep riding this direction." It was like it'd be different if you guys had like $1 million budget.
Right.
You know what I mean? And your vision, exactly how you see it in your head, how it's visualized in your head, can come to life. That's a different synopsis,
Right.
a different scenario. But when you add the comedy element to it, but still stick on the topic of the script, still deliver the message home, people are not going to like chop your film apart. And they're watching it, they're laughing, they're like, "Oh, this is funny, this is good, that was tasteful." You kind of so entertained that, especially for the people that made film movies themselves, directors or other actors, they'd be like, "Oh, they messed that up. Look at that clip."
Right.
Like the thing is, the as we spoke about when we were off camera, like doing everything yourself, so to say, it was like, like I wrote it, and then it was like editing it and acting in it, and then he handled casting, and then him and his friends handled casting. But when you play such a big role, you have that internal fear you're gonna drop the ball somewhere. And you might not see it till like it's too late. Like you already gave it away. Now like, you're like, "Oh my God, that's horrible. Look at the tripod in the background." Or just something random. And there were scenes like that people didn't catch to this day, or they probably will later. But the cool thing about it is that the film takes place with the idea of social media. So I was looking at it like, that's not really a mess up. You know what I mean? Like they're running around filming things.
Yeah,
So
it
you know
could
they
be
have to have a tripod or a camera
It
somewhere.
could be as low budget as you need it to
Yes.
be.
Exactly.
So
That was,
I really like the when you were struggling with the guy and he's sitting there, filming it as you're struggling, not even paying attention.
and the crazy part is going back to his question about going from serious to comical. The first episode up to when he shows up,
yeah,
everything up to when he shows up, it was by myself filming it.
right.
Not by myself, like somebody was behind the camera. Like literally, there was nobody in my house.
Okay.
It was just I was staging the camera, I was filming it. Then I got my drone and I crashed it like 100 times in my house. And I was see when I'm sitting on the couch watching the news. I'm controlling the drone in my hand behind me, hoping I don't chop my head in half. Like the whole thing was me just filming the idea.
It was
And,
it was definitely a conservative budget, production, which I think is something to be proud of. The fact that you can make a continuous series, not just you see like low budget movies all the time, but to have a 6-episode show, and keep the same tone, with that budget, I couldn't imagine. And what do you mind talking about your budget? Like,
yeah.
so what you want to ballpark it?
That's a question for you. He was the one. Every time I say it's for him because we had the script. And I mean to cut you off, but we had the script, and then he'll be like, "Hey," and we'll be flinging off these ideas, and I'll be like, "What could I and cannot do?" And his answer was always, "Write it, and I'll tell you."
Okay.
So then I would take the script and have to rewrite things. I'd be like, "Oh, I didn't write this before. 'Cause I didn't think I could do that." You know what I mean? Like this and this and that. So go ahead, take it from there, because
Well,
that's where we was at. So
I think that one of the I don't know. I really don't even know. If
Okay.
I would have to go back and sit down and add it up.
Okay.
Because we did lease studio space, and we did casting. That was everybody that was cast was paid.
I wasn't paid.
Like I said, everybody that was cast was paid.
Well, you guys are paying us though, right?
Let me cut this over. That.
All the crew was paid, all that stuff.
Wow.
And I think that, but now that's not to say that they weren't working
sacrificing.
that
their
they
own.
weren't sacrificing. So
Right.
They weren't in on their full budget on days. We actually moved some stuff so that we were able to film with people that we wanted to film with, because
There was people coming in from out of town.
Yeah,
and I was like,
we had people that came.
I got nervous over that versus filming. Like, dude, I came in from Miami. I'm like,
Miami.
Yeah.
man, this just coming from Miami. I was like, who bring you here? I drove. I'm like, we gotta get this from camera time.
he got a little bit more. I think that he was thinking they deserve a little extra because they done this or that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. They did, but and I was like, nah, man, screw them.
He didn't use those words, but he was like, nah, they know what they came for.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're right, but
He wanted to be here.
being the person that came from like, I started in music and I led into acting and directing, then acting, and being a person that's done background work and stuff. I've seen how shitty people could get treated on
The
set.
gypsy life.
Yeah.
But now I will say that's one thing that we definitely done. You guys know that from stuff that you've seen us do before, or seen me involved with before. Is everybody's important. Everybody is important, and we really tried to go over, just for instance, the days that we rented the soundstage, like we knew we've only got this much time, and we knew that we've got this much to shoot these days. So I think that a couple of our actors were like, because I told them, I said, hey, be ready when you get there. You're gonna have your.
It
own
was
dress.
like not even no introductions. It was like, you ready? They're like,
yeah, like
it was gone.
you've got a dressing room, you've got all those things that are there. Go do it,
Right.
But be ready. Like when we say, hey, we're gonna invite you to set, be ready to go. And I think that was a little unnerving for a couple of our actors, because they hadn't done quite as much stuff as some other folks have. They were prepared, they pulled through it, but we actually ended up doing more. We actually got additional stuff on those days
The newscaster girl.
Yeah.
She came just to do that outside scene.
Yeah.
Remember? And then we said, no, we want you to do the newscasting
let's
in
do
the
this too.
in the
Yeah.
studio. And she was like, I didn't rehearse that. I was like,
It'll be okay.
Go over there and rehearse, and we'll call you in 10 minutes. So after we check rehearse, the whole thing.
That's gonna help.
Yeah.
That's gonna make her less nervous.
Yeah, it absolutely did too.
I'm like a stickler for knowing how to chop up a conversation.
Yeah.
So I was telling her, like, I don't need you to do the whole conversation in one wind. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you could, like, break it up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you look like an idiot.
Because
Like,
it was a big chunk of dialogue.
Yeah.
And that
I
was
remember
what
that
we
part.
actually done. You know, as we broke it down and said, hey, let's do it. And you've done that with me, actually. You know, but let's just do 3 or 4 lines, and then let's do 3 or 4 lines.
build to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and build to it, yeah.
So.
And I know that this is going to be redundant, but I want to go back just real quick to what we were talking about just a minute ago before we got on the budget stuff and say that I the seriousness of the show and its true core thing, I think that it was extremely important to make the show, to make these guys be regular guys.
Right.
And that goofiness of those regular guys, I feel like it makes them more relatable, because we all know how it is. We see something and we have that knee-jerk reaction to where it just really pisses us off all of a sudden. And that's where these guys don't stop. They go into that knee-jerk without any planning, without any preparation whatsoever. Like, oh, no, that guy's got to go.
I have a lot of questions about the show itself, what it's about, the themes, and you know, but I'm a film nerd, so I got to ask all the production questions. Let me get them knocked out first.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
take it away.
But no, I wanted to, because we kind of talked on the seriousness of it a little bit, and I just wanted to say that I feel like that the seriousness of the show was the meaning of it is so serious that it would get monotonous after a while. It'd be like, oh, it's another killing. Oh, it's another killing, or whatever it is.
Okay.
And I feel like that we needed that. I feel like the comedy side of it
It kind of cuts through.
cuts through that.
Yeah.
You know.
Kind of when he came to me, he was like, so how are we going to jump from filming to showing like on social media? And I never told him. I was just like, oh, don't worry about it. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, I got an idea. So he knew the phone thing was going to take place, but I guess to a certain degree, I sold it like, you know, we're going to be filming it with the camera, and then I'll alter the footage to make it look like it's on a phone. And then when we got to say, he was like, all right, so how? I was like, yeah, get your phone. And everybody was confused. And like, wait, so we're going from like 4K to phone quality? I was like, yeah, what's the worst phone we have?
Yeah.
I was like, who got the cheapest phone in the room?
Yeah.
And they were like, you. I'm like, oh. Which, not anymore, but at the time, I was like, oh.
I'm the executive producer.
So I had like the Samsung 8, and I was looking at it, I was like, you know what, this is true, yeah, let's use this phone. So we would just start filming the phone. It was funny because I could tell the actors that didn't know us, it was taking them off key for a second, like,
Right.
wait, you're going to film with your phone?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because I don't want the transition between the viewer looking at a cinematic value, then it still looks fantastic when they go to the phone.
Yeah.
It doesn't pull you away even if you add the little emojis and all that.
Right.
I was like, I wanted to feel like you're watching this, oh, snap, like these guys really made it look all crazy. Now I want to edit the footage to make it look bad. I just want it to look not bad, but
It adds
less
to the
quality
scene.
than the
It
exactly.
adds to
So
the
then-
scene.
Which is something else that, and I wanted you to run through your questions too, but I want to make sure that we come back to that whole social media
Absolutely.
Yeah.
avenue of it too.
So talking about the cameras and stuff like that, what equipment did you guys have for the? Because a lot of our listeners are film students, and you know, some of my peers and stuff from college. So you want to go through your loadout?
We actually shot most of it with a Kodak disc. It's actually slides that have been put together.
Yeah, There's a lot of slides.
That's gonna be on guard. I sat here for a second, like, what's a fucking Kodak? I didn't even know he was joking for a minute. No, we use 2 cameras, if you count the phones, 3. But the main camera that it started off with was the Panasonic Lumix GH4.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
GH4, I think
Sounds
it's the
great.
GH4.
That was your A cam.
The what?
Your main camera.
There was 2 main cameras. There was that one, and then there was a Sony. The Sony was borrowed. I don't know the exact specs of the Sony. I apologize. I can get it.
That's
but
fine.
It was like equivalent to the Panasonic camera.
Did you block mainly for 2 cameras at all shots or all scenes, or did you?
No, everything was always
pretty
shot.
good
With,
mix.
everything was
Yeah.
shot with one. Whatever camera we decided to shoot with. When it was, this is the way we shot it. So with the Panasonic, because I had lenses for it.
Right.
Panasonic, I had either the lens was like a zoom lens or it was a macro lens, right? So whenever we was doing something really, really up close, I was like, let's pull out the Panasonic because I have a macro lens for it. So when we in people's faces filming, the quality just looks better than the Sony would.
Right.
Then the Sony that I borrowed from a good friend of mine, Sonia, she had the Sony, and she had this monster lens on it.
Really?
It was this automatic monster lens that when I looked it up, the lens was like more than the camera.
Wow. Yeah.
So I was like, and it was awesome. It like almost like it was meant to be because I was at a dinner with her and her husband. We was hanging out. And I was telling them the idea of the film, and then she was like, I said it'd be cool if I had 2 to 3 cameras, so I won't have to rely on just mine. And she like, you could borrow mine.
Yeah.
She, I don't use it. So I'm thinking like, what bullshit camera you got?
Yeah, right.
I was like, okay, I didn't want to be rude. I was like, okay. So then she came out the house and she gave me the camera and I took it. I didn't think nothing about it. I was like, okay, you know. And then I started messing with it and looked on YouTube, Google, and I was like, oh snap.
That's a nice camera.
I gotta be careful with this.
Yeah. I was like, I had to like look up, is this camera better than mine? Then like it was like certain things. When I found out what this camera did better and what my camera did better, I just used them according to what we was filming. So anything that's close up was the Panasonic. Anything that's kind of a little bit like a distance, like between me and you and further, was the Sony.
Did you guys have a kind of guerrilla type kind of like shot list? Did you come up with it like a day out or
This is fantastic. So
you walk into a room?
So everything,
Oh shit!
everything that wasn't on time management,
Yeah.
like the studio days and stuff like
He
that.
hated me for this part.
Yeah.
Everything that was not on time management was just it was in his head. So we shot whatever was in his head.
Okay.
I'll be like, I got it. And then what's the shot list?
Yep.
I got it. And I used to get upset because I'll be like, does it matter what the shot list is? You stand. Well, I'm gonna tell you to stand.
Yes,
I'm gonna
it
shoot
matters.
it.
Yes, it matters.
But I knew it mattered.
It absolutely
But I knew
matters.
the timetable was so crunched, especially with certain places. I was like, I really am not trying to be a dick here. I don't got time to explain it to you. Like, do you trust me? He was like, we need a shot list. I was like, did you make one? I didn't know what we were shooting. And I was like, well, I do.
Yeah.
I was like, have I failed you before? He was like, no. I was like, then let's go.
Yeah.
And then the next time you can do the shot list, he came through with this.
So the way it worked is anytime that we were on a location or in the studio where it was, okay, you've got this block of time to be in and out, then I would, those are the scenes.
You were the director.
I was the
Yeah,
director.
yeah, yeah,
Those
yeah.
were the
Gotcha.
if you want to see the scenes that I directed, looking for anything that looks like it's in the studio or
Yeah.
somewhere other than.
And it was nerve wracking for me.
So-
I'll be like, hey, you said you're going to let me take this one. And I'm like,
Well, you're thinking about the quality of the shot. He's thinking about the money burning minute away.
yes.
no,
absolutely.
but even if it was the money, I never hesitate shots. I was always like on go. Like
Oh, yeah,
there was
yeah,
times
yeah,
that I
yeah,
went
yeah.
too fast.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, let's do one more for safety. I was like, but I was safe. I was like, and I had this theory. I was like, let me tell you something. If the card messed up, all the shots is gone.
Uh-huh.
I looked at it. It's in there. For me, I feel better. And I'll be like,
All right. So you're Clint Eastwood and you're what, Scorsese or something?
yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I am super anal about filming. I
Yeah.
wanted it to come out just as good as the next man.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to sound cocky about something, but you know when you could do something, you know what you could do.
Right.
And it's just the other person hasn't been there enough to see you do this numerous times that for
Right.
them it's like, this is what I'm used to. And I'm like, this is what I'm used
on
to.
the
So it was
backside
like
of
you know.
And on the backside of that, I've seen enough shots to where you're like, oh, this would be a great shot if it wasn't for that one friggin' thing right there, or just the way that they turned their head this time or that time or
People
whatever.
like, see, you forgot to take that out of the shot. I'm like, I didn't forget to take out the shot. I was shooting. You was behind me. You didn't move it. You too busy looking at me.
in all honesty, the what happened behind the scenes, if you will, if you want to use,
You can
that
make a
term,
whole show
you can
from
make
behind
a
the
whole
scenes.
show
Yeah.
out of that.
Yeah, yeah.
It
That's
was,
a good.
yeah.
That's
But it
how
was
you have good
never.
production.
It was never like an argumentative. That's the word.
Yeah.
That word argumentative.
Absolutely.
Is it?
For this
Today it is.
podcast.
yeah, absolutely.
It was never from like an argument standpoint. It was always like I always knew it was like he wanted it to come out so good, and so did I. So
Yeah.
it was like a back and forth, like, this is my idea, this is my idea, this is my idea.
Yeah.
That it reached a point where it was like either the ideas were meshed, or like me or him would be like, all right, that is a better idea. Fuck it, let's go with that.
I recall a shoot where he was in your shoes, and I was the guy that was annoying him about having to do things just the right way. So,
Yeah.
he's played both sides now.
Yeah.
So,
But like all in all, you need that I'm not gonna say that guy, but you need that friend or that guy or that It's worse to me not having a person constantly combative with your ideas, because to me, I know I'm a person that's done film for a while, and I always complain about, man, this is crazy doing it by yourself. It's crazy doing it. Then when you get somebody there with you, you gotta take the good with the bad, like man, this motherfucker want this, but I want to do that.
Get off my back.
Yeah, like that. But then, I would stop and go, man, I can't be mad because not only do I need, I need him because I do need him, but I asked for this.
Yeah.
And I know that I always wanted to be able to talk to somebody. Like, yo, man, what you think about this? Versus me by myself and be like, damn, this is a great idea or not. The only feedback I got is me.
And I think that was actually one of the best things about the way that we worked together was that if it was one of those things where it was like, no, I want it, this is exactly what I want. The other one would be like, okay, well, you married to it that tight, then let's do it like that. I personally don't want to do it that way, or I wouldn't have done it that way first, but if it's your idea, you like it that way, okay, let's go with that. Yeah. And it was give and take. And the later episodes, I'm going to say, 3 to 6 was probably like he would send like, hey, this is the storyline. What do you think about this part of the script? And we would actually work on even the writing together. Be like, yeah, I think you'd say this, that, and we'd go through and
it definitely got to a point where I was just like, this is the script. This is where I want to go. And he would change things and tell me this idea, and I was just like, there was. I think he knew I was lying too. There was this. Like, yeah, I read it, man. It was great. And I ain't even the fucking thing. And then the next thing we come on set, he'll say a line that I'm not familiar with. I'm like, man, why you want to do that? And we just like wing it, and he'll be like, hey, man, you did read the script. I'm like, I did. I'm like, but then they caught me later when I had to like look at the editing and be like, damn, what he says there. I had to like look through the script that I never looked at, or the revamp version. I'm like, and again, it's the idea of not having all those people doing their jobs. You know what I mean? Like when you don't have the editor, you don't have this guy, you don't have that. It was just like I have to retain everything. So.
I do think that it works depending on what the show is. You can obviously get way too many hands. In things. And when that happens, you can see that it stops being fun.
Yep.
It turns into just like, man, this is just because it just stops. I mean, it's just like any progress that you have just comes to a grinding halt.
Well, okay, how many people were like involved in a set? Like, what was your shortest day? What was your craziest day?
The smallest day would probably be just the two of us, and the biggest day. would
any
be,
scene that just has me and him in it was the quickest days.
Yeah,
because
those
was
you
like
two in a camera, two dudes in a camera.
Two dudes in a camera, and Cricket was there. It might be like it might be like one more person there to hold the camera, move the camera around. Well, actually, whenever it was just us two on scene, there was always a person or two there in the background, running around.
But then
if it was 3 people, that actor when they were off camera, they were holding it.
Oh yeah. It was definitely Scorsese-esque. It's like, okay, it's your turn to hold the boom or whatever. But I think probably the biggest days were the days that we were in the studio. We had more people there.
The studio and for me, actually, the biggest day for me that was like, I would say there was
I'm talking about number of guys. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like as far as like, I would say that if there was a nerve-wracking day for me, was when we killed the judge. I won't spoil it. When we did, like, oh, he dies now.
Actually, we didn't kill the judge.
Don't spoil it. But what's his name? Cecil.
Yeah.
When we was at his location, that day was the most nerve-wracking day for me. For some weird reason.
That's with the henchmen and everything.
That's when they threw me in the pool.
And
it was going into the room.
That was about the funniest thing I said. Because I'm just watching Joey miss, and I'm like, dude, he's like 5 feet from me. And I'm like, how does he not hear the two of them just arguing
he's
like
a
an
regular
old
guy.
Yeah.
He's a regular guy.
And it's like, for some reason, that whole scene from the pool to when we actually get to the judge.
Which is all different locations.
Every single shot was a whole entire different place.
It was pieced together really good.
All different locations.
And it was like, for me, it was a little nerve-wracking because that's when you call like everybody out. That day and the torture scene in the basement when we were getting tortured.
Really?
Those days for me, because when we have actors on board, I don't get nervous about that because the actors, they're like, I want to do good, I want to do good.
Right.
They don't care. You know what I mean? I'm an actor, so like when I'm on set, like all I'm focused on is me.
Right.
Like, I'm focused on everything else, but like I'm trying to get my part, you do your part, boom. But when you are doing the behind the scenes and it's like 20 people in the room, they go, so what we doing? And I was like, so for me it was like
Joey said.
So for me it was like, and then it was like I had all the ideas in my head, so it was like nobody was really questioning anything. It was just like everybody knew the script, everybody knew what was going on. They're like, how you want this? Where you want that? Where you want this? And I was like, there. Then I was so happy at the fact that I'd be like, well, I had this idea for this and this and that. And they'll be like, all right. He'll be like, all right, yo, you tie a rope up there. You go. We even pulled out everybody's car batteries at one point.
What?
Remember we was pulling out the car batteries?
Oh,
in the basement.
Okay.
He was like, "Hey man, hey, go get your car battery and bring it out here and get the thing." And this is in my house in the basement. I'm sitting there like,
I'm sure you checked with your production insurance company on all
Absolutely.
that stuff.
"Yeah, yo, my wife."
we had the fire marshal in. And
Yeah, I remember my wife and my son coming to me, and it was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know."
Here's one screen. Don't worry about it.
Oh, we screamed a lot that day. I was like, "Ah!" My kid was playing video games. Like, man, I had to lower my headphones. My friend was like, "What's going on in your house?"
I think that one of the smartest things that we've done, I just realized this, the days that we were in the studios, we were never in front of the camera.
So you could actually direct and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
We weren't in front of the camera at all those days.
You right. We never got.
I just realized that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which one of the scenes was the studio one?
Episode 6.
Episode 6.
Which
Oh.
was supposed to be 7, but
Right.
it was episode 6.
Episode 6.
It was supposed to be 9 episodes. Then it turned into 7. And then we got so busy with life
Yeah.
that I was like, I can make it make sense for 6. Okay. And he was like, sure. So I put it together and we watched it like twice and we was like, all right, yeah, this works. Episode 6 that became, episode 6 that 7 became 6. You didn't miss nothing there. It was just
Right.
like fillings. Episode 6 was supposed to be a montage.
Okay.
So like kind of showing their growth and like a whole bunch of stuff, just these crazy. We were just going to do a plethora of all these crazy over the top kills for the whole episode. It's going to just be a crazy buckets of blood episode. Like if you was watching The Boys, more grounded. And we got so busy and that's what I'm saying. Like the airplane scene that we filmed the airplane scene. Like, and I don't mean like fudging it. Like we got in the airplane and took off and we was filming in the airplane. I was like a kid, like I was like, in a fucking airplane. Remember this fucking movie in the plane? Like it was like surreal to me. And I've been on planes, I've skydived and everything, but for him to be like, "What do you want to do, man?" I was like, "I want to take a plane, but we can't do it." He's like, "I can get a plane." And I was like,
Joey's the guy.
I was like, "You can get a plane."
I just love that confidence. Just like, I can get a plane.
Yeah, it was just like a plane.
He has a plane. What is that?
Yeah, so that was the crazy. Like, yeah, I got a plane. I was like, "Motherfucker, I know you for like 6-7 years. You missing a fucking plane? You like got a boat too?" I was like, he didn't say that. But I was like, "What?" And I told my wife, I was like, "Yeah, we was on a plane from." She was like, "Where you get a plane from?" I was like, "Joey had a plane." She was like, "Joey has a plane?" I was like,
I mean, but, like, how do you work that into a conversation?
I have a plane.
Where like, is that, like when do you bring that up? I think that's like a urinal bring up. You're just standing there, just taking a whiz.
Yeah,
you
you
just go,
can't.
I got a plane, right?
I guess he waited because it was never a conversation for us to mention. Hey, I got a plane.
And let me tell you why you don't. Because then
The shock value.
Then everybody
He probably
is
thought I
like,
was gonna be like, "I got this cocaine we can move, man." That's probably why he never really told me. He's like, "Nah, you Hispanic, you gonna want to do all this crazy shit." Well, no, but he mentioned that, and I was like, that's when I realized I was like, oh, he's ready for me to just start throwing things at him.
All right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Last question about production stuff. So you talked a lot about the scripts. You talked about that you basically just kind of skeletoned the script. You had like an outline or something like that in the beginning, and then like how often?
Well, there is a full script.
Right.
You just started sketching, yeah.
But like how often were you writing, rewriting? Maybe even during production.
Actually, the script was all done, and due to the fact of the show took a slight comical turn, the script got entirely rewritten every day before the shoot.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'll have the script, and I'll be like, "This is what we're doing," and because I knew it was going to get comical somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
Episode 1 is the most serious episode.
Right.
And that was, like I said, it started off as a pilot.
Right.
So I actually was filming episode 1 before I even mentioned to him that I wanted to do this show.
Right.
So when he was like, "Let's do this,"
Right.
I was already like kind of moving along with it.
Right.
That's why from the beginning of episode 1, right to his character shows up, it kind of takes a different turn right there.
Record scratch.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
bet
like-
you're wondering why I'm here right now.
As soon as you see him, the
Yeah.
show instantly takes a different direction.
Yeah.
He's playing the video games and all this stuff. And the crazy part is, that's crazy. The whole episode 1, the entire episode took place in one location.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
By the way, you realize you were holding that controller upside down the entire time.
Sure. Well, that's I'm playing like Jimi Hendrix. Upside down and behind my back.
I was like, I never pictured Joey
Joey.
being a video game player.
A
and then
gamer.
when seeing him, it was like, that
He's
makes
got-
sense.
he's got his tongue out.
It was originally, he was supposed to be doing like not construction, but like wood. The woodcutter.
The woodcutter.
I called a saw. I was like, "Yeah, we gotta get a woodcutter." He was like, "A saw?" I was like, "Yeah." But it was supposed to be he doing stuff like that, and his phone's in and stuff like that.
Right.
And the idea changed as it went on. But
I think that, one thing that we definitely done was we would shoot a scene, and we'd shoot it what we thought was script, what was scripted, and then we would stop and be like, okay, let's do it one more time, and just throw the script away, which is a fantastic practice if you have time to do it, and just do it and see what comes out of it. And I think a lot of times that there was a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely a comedy. There was a lot of really good stuff that just came out because it changes when you're on the day.
What take did the Animal House jumping around with a gun thing come out at?
what are you talking about?
I think it's hilarious that you picked that up because I've done that.
I know Animal House.
You know what our
what
podcast
we
is
talking
about, right?
I know. But I love the fact. Yeah. I love the fact when we are approaching in episode 2.
Jason Clark's house?
Yes. Yeah.
When the boom.
Yeah. The like bouncing around with the shotgun.
That's John
That's
Belushi.
John Belushi. Yeah. See, and all right. So this is fantastic. See?
I didn't catch that. I was there with you. I was telling him to tuck and roll. As we were walking, I was whispering, tuck and roll. He's like, nah, I'm fucking back. I was like, tuck and roll, man. He was like, in my mind, I saw the editing. Yeah. Every scene we was filming, I was editing in my head. So I would never shoot something that I felt I couldn't see me editing this a certain way.
So you edited also?
Yeah.
I would definitely want you to watch now. If you didn't watch it for that in the beginning, watch and see the nuances that are in that character.
Yeah.
From so many other things.
Yeah.
Like I legitimately built him from characters that I thought were hilarious, and Bluto being one of them. Absolutely. Yeah. That was his name. That was his name.
The funny thing is, a lot of people know that the priest was supposed to be a therapist. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Getting into the show.
Okay.
So I really want to talk about David because, man, that guy has come a long way. He is phenomenal.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Oh, wow. Like,
He was a priest, right?
yeah.
I almost didn't cast him. That was funny. We'll go into it.
Yeah. But so why don't you just kind of give us a quick rundown synopsis, and we'll talk into what we're trying to get into with the show, what your plans are, what you see it being, what you hope the audience picks up from it, things like that. So take it away.
So, like a rundown of the show or a rundown of the characters?
Whatever you think is the best way to convey the show in a quick synopsis.
The show, like in a synopsis? What I want people to... You go ahead.
Well, I think that it is just that. I think it's just regular guys that have reached their point, and it's like
They're tired.
they're tired. You know,
But it's funny because I don't like saying like regular guys that reached their point because your guy is like in it for the ride almost. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
yeah, but he's at the point to where.
but he does agree. But
Yeah.
I feel like. But go ahead, finish. Go ahead.
I think that it's that it's regular guys that have reached the point to where they're like, you know what, enough.
Yeah.
You know, if we get caught, that's fine. And I think that that's historically a really cool thing that has that we, if you watched or know history from like the Old West and stuff like that, where guys are just like, okay, what, you know, you hear about characters like Bonnie and Clyde and things like that, and people think that they ran for 40 years, and they didn't. That happened in a very short amount of time.
Right.
There was a lot of living that went on in that 2 or 3 years, you know. So I feel like that's where they're at. They're just like, you know what? If it's gonna keep getting worse, this is good. If this is as good as it's gonna get, enough. Enough. Let's do what we got to do. But at the same time, we're gonna rid the environment of some of the maggots and cockroaches along the way. Yeah, the poison.
Yeah,
That's a really good way of putting it.
And it's like, you know, it came from a personal place for me when writing the script. You know? It's a mesh of, you know, being Hispanic, and I never like running the whole, oh, you know, this and that, but it's just like, it's what it is. You know what I mean? So it was like viewing things from a certain perspective, you know, having kids and seeing society. And, you know, there was times when I look at things like on social media, like it could be anybody getting killed. I don't care what nationality you are. It could be anybody. It's just, I always look at it like, when I leave this earth, I hope something like this doesn't happen to my kids. Or, you know, or worse, while I'm on this earth, you know, and I see something happen to my kids.
Right.
So it comes from like a really, even though the show is very comical, but all the elements I installed in it comes from a very personal place. So taking that and then the psychoticness of being a comic geek. I'm a comic geek, video game geek, you know, like graphic novels, manga, like everything. So everything you guys do, I'll be a guest any day. I'm down. I'm with the shit.
Hell yeah.
So, you know, for me, it was like all that. So I was like, okay, how can I do something like I love, like all these comic book things, but the superhero genre, I love it. I hope it never ends, but I know people are getting, like, as they say now, superhero fatigue, which I don't think that. I just think good movies are not coming out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, it's like, all right, so how do I make a movie based on something like that I love? How do I get the superhero feel? How do I get the Batman feel, so to say? But how do I get the vigilante feel? How do I get the regular guy feel? So that's where the concept came from, in the sense of like, my idea was I want to make something that nobody can say to me, hey, that reminds me of,
Right.
oh, it's another, no. I pat myself in the back by saying, there's nothing out like that. It might be like, remind you of something, but there's nothing out like Annihilation.
And
of Man,
that's
so
one
to
of the
say.
things that we went back and forth over and over was like, who are they? Are they vigilantes? No, they're not vigilantes.
They're stupid.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are.
They just wild the fuck out, you
Yeah.
know? And so to me, it's like, and I was looking at everything before we even got started. But when it went from being a pilot, I had this big idea. Then when he was like, nah, we gotta go into episode 2 now.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, it'll just make the trailer bigger for when I'm pitching it around. And he was like, episode 3 now. And then by episode 3, I was like, yeah, we gotta go to 9. so
Right,
you know,
that's right.
it started going, and then all my ideas started coming to life in my head. I was like, okay, now I can see the cartoon characters.
Yeah.
Now I can see the comic book, and we spoke about that. I was like, it's funny 'cause he mentioned it recently, but I never voiced that. I was like, I had this idea of these characters growing to more than just the show.
Would you say that their superpower is the social media influence they have?
But yes, like
Okay.
their superpowers. If there was, I don't like saying superpower because then you put me in a category. But
I mean,
for the entertainment of the idea, yeah, I get it. Like, yeah, their leverage, their superpower is the idea of the social media. Because you take away social media, there's just, I mean, they are murderers, but take away social media,
it's just
it's
senseless
just
killings.
senseless killing.
Yeah.
And when you involve social media, now you got the people behind you, and you got people divided.
Right.
So it's not only a lawyer and a judge saying like, "Hey, you did this." It's like literally people would. The idea for it is like season 2 and going forward. The idea is to put the world, that universe, into a space where literally people are divided by them. That I have scenes written down that I have ideas for season 2 where it's like they're in the streets having shootouts with like police and stuff like that, and people are protecting them. Hey, come over here, like hiding them because they've become such a public figure to people. So now they're like getting protected by people, then, but also people are trying to find them and snitch on them and this and this and that. And
it's a gift and a curse.
Yeah, so I even have the idea. We was talking about like a villain, like now because of their existence.
Yeah.
Somebody else comes into play. I'm still debating, do I want them to have a mask as well or something? But now I'm like, now I'm turning into the Flash and Arrow here. You know what I mean? Like, that's all. Do they have a mask, or is just another guy running after them? Is it a cop? You know what I mean? So like, I have all these ideas of how to go somewhere with it and turn it into his own thing, but still in the element of all these things I like, from manga to comic books, but that nobody could say, here goes another one.
Right. Yeah.
Like, this is not a cop show.
Yeah.
We have 1 million of those. This is not a superhero show. This is not a lawyer show. This is not just a vigilante show. It is really just me and you. If you got up right now and ran with your phone and started shooting people, but for a reason. You know what I mean? I'm not saying the reason's right, but
Shooting with a camera.
yeah, shooting with your camera. You know, so
I think that's a very important thing to say as far as who the characters are. Is that I feel like that the average person, when they see something that boils them over, so to say, and that's what social media, if you want to call it their superpower, that's what it is because the public is living vicariously through these guys.
Right.
These guys are actually doing what a lot of us wish someone else would do if we don't have the guts to do it ourselves, if you will.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean, we're treading some dangerous territories here.
All right. Because, and let me tell you why. Because there's not one person that's ever going to listen to your podcast or anybody else talk that doesn't want to see justice served.
Okay.
It's not,
Regardless,
regardless.
right there. No one's ever going to listen to your podcast.
We've had some interesting
Quotes
comments
from
in the
Joe.
past.
No one watches or listens to this crap.
But you know, it's not necessarily in the sense of like, well, I get what he's saying. Like, it's not necessarily like literally in the sense of like people say, man, I wish somebody go out there and just kill everybody. But it's like people have said, like, man, somebody should shut this guy up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like things of that nature. And some people might go to the extreme and kill somebody, and some people might now just.
Everybody at some point in their life has
Yeah.
felt like that justice has been served inadequately.
Right.
Oh, yeah, without doubt.
Whether it was served too harshly or not enough or whatever it may be.
The closest correlation I could think of is Taxi or Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro, yeah.
And I mean, that was a very divisive movie. People loved it or hate it, you know, and it still sticks around.
And this guy, because I was trying to think of other things that kind of would go along. And you remember the Falling Down movie?
Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Oh yeah,
When he loses
that's
control of
that's
the
a
job.
great
He's
example.
Just had enough.
Yeah.
He's just had enough. I've got one. He had one goal. All he wanted to do was go see his daughter for her birthday.
Yep.
That was it. And everything that
Got
we
his way.
see on a daily basis, his burger wasn't like the picture. I want the burger in the picture. All of those things, and it was just enough. And I feel like that to an extent, we all have those days. But what do you do with those days? And hopefully we're all smart enough to say, all right,
I'm not going to shoot up McDonald's.
exactly.
What separates Annihilation of Man for everything we're talking? I'm glad you're mentioning that because everything you mentioned has a personal vendetta, has a personal drive. Nothing happened to these guys. Kimberly Williams, the girl that get killed in the beginning,
has no contact or no relation.
he don't know her.
Right.
Like my character never met that girl.
They're just tired of seeing stuff.
Yeah, they're literally their personal drive. So say if it was personal, it's just, man, this is life. This is human beings. This is what we're doing. You know what I mean? All right, so if all we do is kill, let me go kill the right people, so to say, or the people I feel is the right people to kill, get rid of to stop what I think is happening. It's not right what they're doing in no way. I would never sell it like doing justice. It's just people are going to bring up Taxi, Falling Down, and other films, and my defense is always going to be, yeah, but all of those guys was mad about something
Let me ask
that happened to
you.
them particularly. These guys.
Let me ask you an even more challenging question. All right, I guess the main antagonist towards the end of the show, right? Not, I guess, what you would consider the category of what you would typically expect to see of that individual. Was that a casting choice, or did you intentionally?
Are you referring to Rebecca Hart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely a casting.
Okay, why?
Because it needed.
Yeah, she was specific.
Yeah.
I said I wanted to
Yeah.
be a woman. I wanted to be a black woman.
Yep.
It has to. I want it to be that.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause,
people would typically
and
expect it
we-
to be a white guy.
And
Yeah,
we both agreed to that, and
Because-
there you go. So if you want another reason why, there you go.
And even with the judge, you know,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
I was like, it has to be a black guy. And I was like, I don't want a Hispanic. I was like, this, that, not saying that would drive the point. It was just like, I was looking at it like, we got the white guy here. Like, I really want this extreme diversity, and I wanted everybody to be in a position that you don't expect them to be in.
And the reason
Well, that way it's not about race. It's just about the
exactly.
And that's why I want people to feel like, oh, okay, I get what's happening here. This guy's watching TV, racial crimes are happening. He just said, but I'm like, no, that's just what you hear because of the character, topic, 100 other topics which are gravitating towards this topic. And then as the show starts going on, you realize like it got nothing to do with him. It's not personal at
we
all.
specifically
That's
discussed
just
that.
something that in filming and in writing, I want you to feel like, I got it.
Well,
Hispanic guy, man, because
because
minority crime is happening, and it's like, nah, he could care less. Not could care less, but like, he's not motivated by race only. He's going at it for everything else. And if you hear every time I mention it, race is the last thing I mention. I was like, you did this, you did this, you did this, and not to mention this. It's like it's never the forefront of his conversation. I was always careful to not put that in the forefront.
Power hungry isn't racist, right? Like
And it's exactly, and it's not that it's. I think that one of the things that we discussed was that it's every person, I don't want to say every person. It's every socioeconomic background.
Right.
Maybe is the better way of describing that. Regardless, if you want to characterize people and break them up by race, religion, whatever it is, you're going to find good and bad in both. You know, in all of them. Yes, in all of them. So I think that it was important to us that we showed the good and the bad and in the middle of humanity.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Not so much.
I really just wanted to paint the picture that, there is a lot of racial stuff happening and this and this and that, but I wanted to paint the picture of humans at some point, they ain't shit sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, there's some bad people out here.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
And
if
that's the
you're-
picture I
if
wanted
you're
to drive home. You know what I mean?
specifically- If you're specifically looking at a particular race or gender or anything, then you're missing a lot. You're
Right,
missing a
yeah,
whole
yeah.
lot.
And these are the conversations I want the film to have.
Yeah,
in my mind,
that's good
secretly,
stuff.
in my mind, secretly, it was like, all right, yeah, I know some people are gonna miss the point. Some people are gonna grab the point, or some people are gonna intentionally corner me into, well, you know, so you did another one. I'm like, you know, and I want that because
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's good
yeah,
stuff.
you got tricked into my idea. I didn't want it to just be like, man, that was cool, man. How this, you know, I want it to be when I speak to anybody from this podcast to another, everybody is just like, well, this, that, and I'm like, I got you. You know what I mean? Like, it was written intentionally to make you feel like whatever you take personal without realizing it, it's what you're going to talk to me about. You know what I mean? So you're going to be like, oh, it's crazy how you did this with this guy. And I'm like, all right, so you didn't miss the point. You just got one of the points that just personal to you. Like, some people might watch the beginning and may feel like, okay, he's watching it and the crimes, the police killings and stuff like that. He's taking it personal and this and this and that. And I even on purpose put the close-up scene where I had not tears from my eye, but my eyes were watering in the beginning. I made sure to put that clip when they're talking about government officials and medicine. Because I was like, okay, people are going to catch this, but I want to show that I'm so upset about that. And then everything else is just compounding onto it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, this guy's not taking nothing personal. He's just like looking at TV, and that's why the news is going so scattered. It's like he's looking at TV, and it's like bad. He can't even focus on a subject. It's just everything.
Yeah.
Like kids being kidnapped, women being killed, raped, you know, regular guys being killed, whether it's a black guy or white guy, whatever. It's just like everything is going to shit around this guy's point of view. And he's just looking at it like, wow, like, is there anything good happening in the world? Like, what's happening right now? You know, you can't even walk into McDonald's and not get killed nowadays. You know what I mean? So it's like, he's like, what's happening? You know what I mean? So he's just sitting there looking at it like, wow, so who do I go after? Like, what do I do, so to say? There got to be something I could do.
Right.
And I wanted to give, at one point it crossed my mind to give him backstory. Like, okay, like, the average person might think this, but what made him go, I'm going to fucking get up and do something? So I was like, you know, I'm going to save that.
I at least want to know where they're getting all the money for their guns and stuff like that. Like, what are they doing for a living?
Well, that's funny. Episode 6, where turned into whatever, was supposed to explain a lot of that.
Right.
We was going to shoot, well, we shot some of it.
Yep.
We shot their regular life. Episode 6 was supposed to be a montage between what they do in the regular life and then go like from like walking his dog
contrast.
to killing.
Yeah.
You know, go from like working at somewhere and then show killing. And show
Yeah.
him like on a date with somebody, then show killing. It was supposed to be like a explaining their regular life and how they're juggling it. And that was going to go into that. And when the time frame didn't allow it, I was just like, you know what? That's cool. Like, that gives me things to talk about on season 2. Not that I don't have a whole bunch to talk about, but like now, somebody gave me the idea recently, and they were like, what you need to do, almost like, not to copy or anything, I don't mean to bring this up, but like Arrow, have you watched Arrow on CW? You saw how, like, no matter how long the show was going, it was always a piece of his past showing?
Yeah.
Like that. I was like, yeah, we could go that route. We could kind of take a piece of that and explain a season, go into this guy's life a lot into it, and then next season go into this guy's life a lot into it, then next season go into how it blended and kind of work its way into that. So I was happy that we didn't go into explaining too much of their background. I just wanted it to be like, all right, so season 1 is the point, and season 2 it gets personal, and then, you know, so yeah.
I got a hard question for Joey. All right. I know we've been friends for a minute. Your law enforcement background. Okay. The narrative about law enforcement in this show. How do you feel about the contrast?
I think that because this one and the last, not the last big movie that I filmed, but the last one that's actually in its festival run now. I'm going to tell you how the contrast between it is just like, I think that's why it was so important to show that it's just, there's bad people no matter who it is. There's bad dentists, there's bad undertakers, there's bad convenience store clerks.
I know a couple.
You know, I think that the contrast of that is because I was the guy, I'll be honest with you. I was probably not the most popular officer in the department because if you're right, I will absolutely go with you. It's till neither one of us can go any further. I will die with you if you're right. But if you're wrong and you're doing it and you know you're wrong, and I've already told you, hey man, come on now. I can't. I'm just not going to, because I think that, you know, there's one thing about being brothers. There's another thing about I can't follow you. I can't follow your idea to the gallows.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Maybe that's a good analogy to put it down. But these guys, I think, realize that that there's good and bad.
Right.
But at the same time, I think that what they come to find out along about episode 3 or 4 is that
it blows up in their face
where they think
the judge.
It does.
Yeah.
Where it goes.
Yeah, when the judge explains what's happening to them to a certain degree, they get scared.
When he
They're like, "What are we
opens
doing?
up-
Like, this is bigger than we expected it to be."
Right.
You know?
When he opens up and tells you that that's not even scratching the surface. I think that the realization of that and what I think that we're realizing as a people on this planet is one and the same. Is some have known for a while, and some are realizing, holy crap.
Yeah.
You know, and do we care? There's another question: is do we care, or do we just look at it like, well, you know, WWE came out and said that it was entertainment. Are we willing to accept? Are we willing to accept the same from our leaders?
Yeah, I'd say that.
Per se.
And we tread very carefully about talking about stuff like this in our podcast. But just to kind of summarize the whole caring aspect, I think in any government capacity, that's always been a question.
No, yeah, and I never wanted to paint the picture like anybody's bad. Like I made sure to never cross the line of like, oh, the government's just bad. Like everybody is bad. And I was saying to myself like, man, how do I explain that, this and that? And I was like, you know what? I gotta allow, like, if some people are gonna be bothered by that, I gotta allow that bothersome to breathe. Cause I gotta get to season 2, so to say, to open it up. So it was more of like, there was things I wanted to add and things I wanted to take out that I was just like, oh, you know what, we're going to leave it as it is. No matter how many times I watched it, I was like, that's going to bother somebody, or this is going to raise a question, or blah, blah, blah. And I was like, this is where, as people, you got to view it like, all right, this is a show. Like, I'm bothered by this because it's either good TV or it's tasteless TV. And that's for you to decide when you're watching it. And I hope they say it's good TV, because to me, it's like, I never will go out in the street and be like, yo, cops are bad. F the police, 'cause I don't feel like that. I've met cops that I'm like, man, thank you, or just I've seen them doing stuff that I'm like, that was nice, that was cool, you know what I mean? Like, if anything, I could honestly say I've encountered a million more good cops than I've encountered.
It just takes one.
You know what I mean? It just takes one to make you be like, F this, but I have been like, man, I have been like that. I got a ticket, I'm like, whether he feels like I was in the wrong or not, you get mad about it, because you got to come out of pocket. Yeah. But like you said, it does just take one. But I'm an extremely realistic person in the sense of like, all right, so when I measure this to that, I've been, especially when I was living in New York, I've encountered police a lot. And it's never like, I don't want to say never, but more of if I did something wrong. And I remember a long time ago, me and my brother got locked up for hopping the train, whatever. Jumping the train style. I was like 17 or something like that, 18. And it was crazy. Like, make a long story short, there was nobody around. We like, yeah, let's go. We jump it. And like 20 cops just popped up. Like, they just like a magician. Yeah. Oof. And they grabbed us up, when they put us in as they call it in New York, the paddy wagon, the van, handcuffed. I'm like, oh my God. Like, they going so hard. You know what I mean? They put us in a cell and everything. And I was like, oh my God. And when we was there, I don't know what came over me and my brother. And this is probably subconsciously some of the stuff where the show came from. We was in the cell, like laughing, like making jokes. And I was like, man, they took my shoelaces, man. Like, I was about to kill myself. Like, we were making jokes. And they was sitting right there in front of us, writing down the report. Yeah. And the cops like laughing at us, laughing. And they started throwing jokes back and asking us how we know each other. And I was like, his pops fucked my mom. That's how he my stepbrother. And and the cops like offering the soda. And so my point is, they did their job, but they wasn't dicks about doing their job either. They're like, all right, look, you broke the law. So I have you in here for this. And we're giving you a ticket and we're taking your fingerprint to the death. But you broke the law, but you're not a effed up human being, so to say, you know. So I have you in here. There's no reason to treat you like an asshole or animal or anything like that, you know. You joking, okay, I get the joke, blah, blah, blah. You know, I still got to do my job.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you got to do your part as a civilian. Like, don't hop the train.
Right.
Point blank. So when you look at it like that, it's like, all right, I messed up. You did your job. You're not my enemy. And you did what you had to do. You let me make my phone call, blah, 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 and we was gone. And
well,
I used to see them in the street all the time.
Said
you know what I mean?
was, I think one of the most important things of what you just said was you said, you're not my enemy.
Right.
You know, and that's such a contrast versus what we're fed through. And I'm not trying to. I hope I don't.
No.
Don't mash on your listeners here, but we're fed that over and over and over. Is I'm supposed to hate you and you're supposed to hate me, and
that is fantastic.
And that's one of the things in this show that it's like, okay, enough. We start to realize, and we're actually, they have to kind of be spoon fed the fact that that's what's happened.
Well, don't tell them that. Don't let them know that.
And well, I'm not going to tell you where.
and also
episode
a
25.
point I like to make too is the fact of, if you pay attention to the details of the show, the characters never just go after anybody.
Right. It's very
not
specific.
Like the drug dealer in the corner. They don't want him. You know, again, now that you're becoming Batman now. You know what I mean? You're trying to be a vigilante. You're trying to run down the streets and stop everybody doing something. They don't want the average person. They're looking for people that took like an oath, so to say. Like, you promised to serve this topic. You know what I mean? And you're breaking that law.
Right.
So it was supposed to be bigger than what it was. We didn't have the time. Like, there was episodes I was telling him I wanted to do a court scene where we're seeing the scene take place and we're at the trial, you know, like just watching. And the witnesses, we start kind of picking up on the fact that, like, you think the witnesses are paid off? This is the jury? Not the witnesses, the jury.
Yeah.
This is national. And we got to go after the jury. Like,
Yeah.
we was going to just go and just kill all the jury. Because
Wow.
we realized that they were paid off. You know what I mean? And, like, get proof first, not just go on the idea and go kill them, but, like, you know, go get proof and everything like that. And then, like, we realized, like, wow, it goes so deep. Like, the whole thing is just one big show. And then it got deeper and deeper and deeper. So there were scenes like that was supposed to take place that will eventually, but that's how deep I wanted the show to get written.
So
you know?
let me say this too, in regards to government, public safety, whatever it is, without a doubt, and I think these guys realize that, is that without a doubt, there's thousands more that get up every day to go and do the good stuff.
Yeah.
And the ones that were spoon fed are the one.
Right.
The one.
That
And I think that these guys realize that, because these guys live in the world. They live in the world. And again, this is a show. This is a show.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
it's not.
And it's not only
It's not-
government.
it's
They
not
went
about-
after the priest.
That's
That's what I'm saying.
They went after the priest,
they're-
right? Like,
they're-
it's
they're-
not only government.
They're going after
They baited the
they're going
priest.
after, not to give anything away, thanks a lot. But they go after the bad, what they perceive to be the bad.
That is
of
the problem
of
though.
humanity.
But they perceive it.
Of
That
humanity.
is a topic on its own.
Sure.
I do want to come back to David. So, like, what happened? Man, that guy got good. What'd you?
He was great before.
I mean, yeah,
He was great
he was
before.
great, and I remember. Like,
I watched some of his stuff. That's what you're saying.
He definitely made that like one of the best keystones of that production. But I was like, you know, that's as quality acting as we're gonna get, and he just upscaled it again for this.
I think that it's fantastic. If you have no idea how it was shot, and I think that to see it how it was shot was
I take a lot of credit on that part, man.
was amazing, because he shot.
He was confused.
He shot. Yeah, he was confused in how he shot.
wasn't there
because
with him.
that's not how you do it. It wasn't shot.
He was talking to
and then-
himself
and
the whole
then-
entire time.
and then a turnaround.
I know what you're talking about.
It wasn't shot that way.
So David is a very literal script reader. Like, he has to know the
Yes.
words word by
Yes.
word.
Yeah, he wants to
and
know
I'm
it like
sure
that.
you
Yeah.
guys had a little bit more of a fast and loose kind of
Right.
take on the script at
Right.
the moment. So how did he?
He
No,
done really well.
We
He-
dedicated a lot of time to him. We let him have like a whole day by himself. Like,
Yeah. But what he's talking about is David is a very specific. He wants to hit the commas. He wants to hit all the words. He wants to do it just like you have written. And we wrote it. I rewrote it because what he had for the ideas. I was like, okay, I knew that wasn't going to work for David. So I went back and I wrote very specific dialogue for David. And David delivered that like that. But I think and it is. The editing on it is what really makes it play because he worked solo that day.
And it was like,
He didn't work.
say 2 lines, stop.
He didn't work.
Say this to this, stop. That's how that was filmed.
He didn't work with, let me say the line and then you respond.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to respond and then you respond. It
Really?
wasn't shot like that.
That's what he wanted when
was
he first
shot-
walked in. That's
Sure.
what, that's what he thought was going to happen.
Well,
and I was like,
that's what I would have wanted.
Yeah.
If it had been me, that's what I would
They
have
both were against it. And I was like, trust me. Let me do it like this. And he was like, I really, remember, because you wanted to film that thing together. You was like, I really think it'll work if we, and I was like, we're going to be in there forever. All, no. And I was like, I'm being home, like, pacing about it, like, oh my God, I hope he just give in. Let me do it this way, because it's going to work.
In retrospect, it would have went a lot faster if he had done it my way. So I will say
But
that.
I don't think it would have came out as good
if he had done it
because,
my way.
I'm not saying it would have gone faster, but I don't think it would have come out as good because I already saw it edited in my head. I know he was probably seeing it how we're filming it. I was seeing it as if I'm looking at this on the screen. How is it going to look? So I felt like if we do what all of us doing the scenes, I'm not going to see it because I'm so focused on my parts now too, and then making sure like he responds to what I said, and I wanted it to be, and that plays such a big factor in it that for me it was like, all right, there were certain scenes that had to be filmed. Like the intro for me was like, this guy looked like the best scene in the entire movie, or the entire show. For me, this got to be the best looking scene. That's where all the color lights came in. It was 4 o'clock or 3:30 in the morning by myself while I was putting the lights, and I shot that thing like 80 times on my drone. And I was like, nope, gonna. And I didn't even know what I was really doing. I didn't know where I was going. I was just like, it just gotta look dope.
Yeah.
It gotta look good. I didn't know what the character's thinking about at the moment. I was just like, I'll mess sure that in later. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, so this gotta look great. Then when the pre-scenes came up, which is supposed to be a therapist, I was like, I didn't realize how big of a role the therapist was going to play. Because in my mind, it was like, all right, we'll show a scene or two where they go to this therapist. And then I caught the idea later on. I called him and I was like, I need the pre-scene to play through the entire show.
Yeah, he's the closest through line to understanding what those characters actually are. So,
Right.
you know,
So
yeah.
I was telling him, like, it got to be filmed like, almost like we're paying more attention to the quality of the film than we are what we're saying.
Right.
So when I knew me and him, our dialogue was going to be off the whim, so I wasn't really focused too much on what we were saying because I already knew it was going to be funny or just off the wall.
Yeah.
But when David came in,
Yeah.
I took it like, all right, I got to treat it like, in my mind, I was treating it like he don't like me. That's how I really was treating it. Like,
you were
he
right.
don't like me. So, and the reason I went in like that, because originally when he introduced me to him, I didn't want to cast him. And it wasn't nothing about him, it was what he said to me that just bothered the hell out. I don't know why it bothered me so much. We met at your birthday party.
You didn't like Hispanics?
Yeah. But he was with a Hispanic lady, I think. But what you call it? We were standing. I think I met you that day. Did I meet you that day? Now, as I'm sitting here, he looks so familiar to me.
Yep.
I think he asked me a question about mistakes and monsters or something.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. It's coming to me. Yeah. And I was like standing in the back smoking a cigar with Cecil, and I was throwing the idea to Cecil, and David came in. He was like, "Hey, this is the guy who wants to play a therapist." And at a glance, I was like, "That's what everybody thinks a therapist look like. I don't want him." You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I didn't want him. I didn't say that to him yet. I was like, oh my God, man, he looked like a therapist. You know what I mean?
Which is ridiculous, right?
I know. How
The last
dare you
thing
cast-
the last thing you would want is somebody that looked like the
No,
character.
but you know, my last film called Lion in the Sand, I got this young guy he's a fashion, he's like a Calvin Klein model. And everybody told me, don't cast him as the therapist, man. Don't, oh my God, what you doing casting? He's a model. And then when they saw the film, they're like, yo, he killed it as a therapist. He was so believable. He was the favorite character and out of the whole film. And everybody said, literally everybody, even my wife was like, no. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then when they watched it, everybody admitted, yo, he was the best character in the whole film.
Yeah.
I was like, all right then. So when I saw David, I was like, I didn't say nothing at the time. Oh, yeah. And I even like started talking to him about it. And the whole time my wife was with me, and I was like, I might have to sit down with Joey. We could use him in something else, but not the therapist. He could be one of the lawyers or somebody like that, but he looks so much like a therapist. And I was like, I wouldn't go to this guy. Like me personally, I'd be like, nah, he's not the kind of guy I want to speak to, my thoughts. So I was like, So then I didn't say nothing because I was like, all right, let me leave it alone. Let me save that for the ending because he was like, there was times he would call me and we wasn't even talking about that scene. And he'd be like, man, David's so excited. And I'm like, who? I'm like, we're not gonna use him.
Then I was even like, gonna use him.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then something dawned on me that didn't make sense. I was like, what therapist can you go to and talk to this long about these crimes?
Yeah.
And they're just not going to call the cops. So then I was like, but it's probably taking place in one big sitting. But then when he comes in, it's obviously different days. And then my clothes is changing. So I was like, man. So I just kept on dwelling and dwelling. Then when it got close to filming him, I was like, a priest can't say nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then when I thought that, David made perfect sense to me. I was like, oh, man, he'd be a fantastic priest.
Yeah.
Even though, see, I come from a Catholic background. You know, I'm not religious anyway, but my family was, you know, the Catholic.
Right.
So a lot of the priests I saw didn't look like David. I grew up like in a black and Hispanic community. So my priest was like, you know, Julio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, whatever the case. So I never saw
Father Julio.
Yeah. So when I saw David, from my point of view, he didn't look like the average priest. I mean, to you guys maybe, but to me he didn't. You know, to whoever else, whatever church you go to.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I don't see him as the priest, so I want him as the priest.
Right.
So that's when I was like, yes, this is the guy. And what had me hesitant for it, this is the reason I wanted to do it broken up. The question he asked me threw me off. He comes to me, he goes, before he even said hello to me, he goes, so how much money have you spent on the film yet? And I ain't like that question. I was just like, what actor asked that question? Like, you know, that was like, what? I was like, you didn't even cast it yet for you to ask me that question. I was just like, and I took it like, I don't know if I was like offended. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just like, I don't know. You know, I was like, I don't know how much we spent on the film. I'm not sitting there tallying it up. Like, what you mean, count how much the camera cost and this and where this came from, how much he put in. I was like, what? So I was just like, you know. So joking around, I was like, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't spend nothing. He was like, what? I was like, not a dime. I was like, we just shooting stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh. So then I started explaining the story to him. And the story pulled him in. He was like, oh, yeah, I want to be part of that.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, I'm interested. So now it's like he was so into the story that question didn't matter to him anymore.
Right.
But I still had it luring over my head. Like, man, he's going to come on set. He's going to be like, what's this ghetto bullshit? This is the cameras y'all using. You don't want me to talk to you don't want me to talk to nobody. We're not doing it. What's going on? So I was like, okay, I need to put it in. Everybody needs to be comfortable. Like, that's Joey's friend. I want Joey to be comfortable. I want him to be comfortable. But most of all, I need to be comfortable. Because I don't want to be filming and be like bothered. And then, you know, when you're not comfortable, you want it to finish. Yeah. You want to, yo, that was good. That was good. Let's go.
Next.
Yeah. So when we got there, I kind of was like, all right, I'm glad he's the priest. We set up the scene. It looked dope. We had the smoke going. Everything was great. So I was like, all right. And then when he got there, I was like super, like over the top. Like, you need anything? You need this? You need water? Nah, no, take your time. And then as it went on, everything meshed beautifully.
Yeah.
He was like the funniest guy to me. He was great. He was super kind. And I never thought he was like in any way a bad person. It was just his questions to me threw me off in the beginning. That in my mind, I was like, man, what's he expecting? And I just want him to kill it. Like, don't worry about what's going on. Like, I wish I had something to show him. You know what I mean? I wish I had something to show him. Like, this is how it's going to look.
He killed it. In
You know
fact,
what I mean?
His composure and like his reaction to like all your weird questions and stuff that you would ask him, like I was like, oh, how is David gonna pull this off? And he kept his priestly composure.
I think
and
that
stuff like that.
it's so
And we
important.
filmed his reactions by itself, remember?
Right.
We were like, sit there and just do reactions. So all the reactions you see are a different clip.
Yeah.
Like, different clips. I was just picking reactions to plug in and
I
stuff.
think that it's really important for David's ability to say that he shot all of that in one day.
Man.
Yeah.
He shot all of it by himself, meaning that
In the dark.
He wasn't in the dark. That he wasn't being fed lines, and the fact that it was able to be sprinkled out through the series like it is, I think is just huge props to him for his ability, because he's amazing.
Yeah,
He's a
because
great actor.
like
He carries the film.
yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He did. I remember in 2 days his bit,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Yeah.
So wow, for him to knock all that out, that is impressive.
Yeah.
Well, we're running out of time. I know you guys got someplace to be. Any questions from you guys? Anything that you want to talk about? Any comments?
I was just gonna say I like how y'all made all the comedic stuff because it makes the character really relatable.
Awesome.
And that when y'all got in the car in that second episode,
Oh yeah, you was texting me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, when y'all started arguing about the guns and the mask and stuff in that second episode, that's what really drew me into the whole rest of the series.
Nice.
That was hilarious though.
No,
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Thank
And
you,
that was one clip. Like we just sat there and was like,
Yeah.
all right, this is the idea.
Yeah.
Just start. And I was like, he's like, how you want to go about this? I was like, just start talking to me. Mm-hmm. I was like, start the script and then just start talking to me.
Which
and
the
then start
truth
reacting.
is, I would really like to see a collage or a montage of the lines that we just spitballed and threw out there.
The show.
Because, but the ones that didn't make the cut, because there were so many that we would just turn the camera on, like in the confessionals.
Yeah.
And dude, there were so many things that we would just turn the camera on and be like, just let it run for a minute, and I would just bam.
No, yeah, especially him. He was killing. He was doing it so crazy with it that there was times I would turn on the camera and he wasn't looking at me. He's looking like left and right at nothing. So I would turn it on and walk away. I was
Just because you'd be laughing the whole time.
Yeah, I was laughing, or I was like, "There's nothing for me to do," so to say. And I know he was going to just go. So I would turn it on and I would walk away to the back of the room and start eating a bag of chips, and I was just looking out the window.
Yeah.
And then I would come back. He'd be like, "How was that?" Like, it was great. And I was like, because I could hear him from a distance, and I already knew how the shot was looking. So I was like, "Oh, I'm not worried about how the shot's looking, because I already know how it looks," so to say. And I could briefly hear him talking, so I was giggling in the background. And every time I thought it wasn't going to be funny anymore, I was like, all right, I'm laughed out. I'm good. I'm just sitting here. He'll say something. And when he was like when he was like, come again, I did. And I came again, and I came again. And that was in the script. But it was like, even though I knew it was in there, it was the way he delivered it. And I started laughing. And then he went, boom. And I jumped behind the camera. I was like, shit. I had to walk away. So like.
Which one of you called him Daddy? Which one of you called Dave Dad?
He did.
You did?
I think
Yeah.
he called
No,
him.
you called him Dad.
I called him Dad.
You called him Dad. I looked at you. I was like, what? And you was like, no,
You called him Pops.
I said Pops or Father. Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
I said my bad, Pops. And
Yeah,
he was
that's
like,
funny. Yeah.
look, Dad. And I was like, and he was like, no, it's between me and him. Well, me, him, and God. And I was like, how is God?
I like some of the little meta references that y'all had. Like, there's one instance where y'all are somewhere and y'all are like mentioning that the lights are. He's like, why all these lights always different colors? Something like that.
Yeah. It was like that whole. What they call that, the fourth wall? They call that, you know.
And I think that it's cool. You talk just like the colors in particular. I think that it's really cool if you watch that you don't ever see the colors until something.
Yeah, it's like
something's
a
up.
metaphor for like
It's-
something luring over them.
The color is almost its own character.
Yeah.
And that's why I mentioned it. And, I was like, what's going on with these colors? I feel like every time something's bad, like we're being set up. And he was like, we're being set up. I was like, I feel like it was funny because that wasn't written. I said, I feel like I'm missing something. You're missing a lot.
And the fact is that nobody else, there's not another show that would even attempt to bring that out.
Right, yeah.
Nobody else is going to point things out like that in the show. But I think
The crazy part is, I gotta say it in a way that I don't want to spoil it. His character, as far as how do I say without spoiling it? His character, I don't know if you noticed in the show, no matter how much he's involved, he doesn't commit any crimes
yeah,
Well, that's true. Well, yeah.
until
the very end.
David.
Yeah.
Until the very
He
end.
doesn't commit any, and I wrote like that on purpose. And it's funny because everybody's like, "Oh man, y'all running around killing everybody," and I'm like. He never does anything. He's always there just bantering and just following him around. And I actually was gonna write it like that for a while.
Yeah.
And then like make it be that something happened and the character's like, nah, you never did nothing. What you talking about? He was there. I was forcing him there.
Yeah.
And then he threw the idea of like, how about if I do that? And I was like, that's crazy. He don't do nothing but the one person you do pull the trigger on is this guy. I was like, that's great.
The henchman in the pool.
So so then it becomes like a season 2, like a questioning for him. And I'm like, what you talking about? He was a bad guy. Like,
It's
nah,
not
but
that
he
there's
was
not
this.
any try there, right? It's not that I haven't tried because I've tried.
One thing I do
with.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, one thing I do want to give a lot of props to for everybody in it before we go off was the recycling of people.
Yeah.
I don't want to say who was recycled. I'm sure
That one guy that was the same henchman falling over and over again.
Well, actually, no, it's not.
Oh, no,
Believe it or
that's
not.
three
Believe it or
different
not.
people.
Believe it or not,
Yeah,
believe
they
it or
probably
not.
shaped the same. But
You're talking about in like season 4 where they're coming through the doorway. He's just like,
and it's funny that every time I watch it, I'm like, oh my God, we could have filmed that so much better. I hated it after a while, but the idea is still so funny that it was like, all right, we're selling the comedy behind the fact of like if I could do it again, I'll make it that it wouldn't stop at the door.
Yeah.
Because the stopping is when I was watching it, I was like, fuck are they stopping at the door for?
It's
You know?
almost
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like a video game esque like
Yeah.
flow.
Yes,
Where it's
yes,
like
yes,
you
yes.
have like a guard come up and go. It's like there's someone prowling around here, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just click done.
Metal Gear, like, you bumping the guy's like, hunt, and he looked, knowing he heard something, and he
It
just
would have
leave.
been a,
But
would have
this
been a
box
great
was in there.
montage to have like the yakety sax playing in the background and speed it up like 3 times. Or
Man,
something.
and, you know, I wanted people to watch it in the sense of course, I want people to take it serious as they can because of the topic, but at the same time, I wanted to create something entertaining.
Yeah.
Point blank. That was like, I wanted a message, of course, but I wanted the message for when it's done, because it's the way I view life, like in reality. Like, I've lost a lot between my moms, my dad, and stuff like that. Like, I've lost a lot, but I still can sit here with you and laugh, and he knows a lot about me. Like, I got stories that I tell people, if there was ever a person that should commit suicide, I got the excuse. Like, I got a book full of suicidal reasons, and not that I want anybody to do that. I'm saying, like, being headstrong and being a person to still look at the good in things, or be like, this is why you gotta keep going, keep pushing. You know what I mean? So I wanted the show to reflect how I felt in the sense of like, hey, look, there's shit going on around us, but you gotta keep pushing. You gotta find a way to laugh because it's not gonna change.
Yeah, comedy has a great way of kind of putting things in a new lens that's a lot more digestible.
Yeah, exactly.
You
So
can, and everybody can kind of understand it a little bit better. So,
and I'm grateful that he came in the picture because I ain't gonna, if it was just me and it went the way I was gonna shoot it, we would be having a whole different conversation. Like, yo, so them 50 cops you shot, and I'm like, yeah, you know,
it was
good
just
TV. Like,
and I know you're getting ready to wrap, but I wanted to come back to the social media aspect of it.
absolutely.
oh, don't forget to
just so
mention
that
the
we didn't
Instagram page
forget
is
that.
alive.
Right. This is going to be the only show so far
I forgot about that.
that you're actually going to need to follow the Instagram page because there's going to be content that's going to fill in some of the gaps in the season.
Oh, wow.
So it keeps, you know how you follow a movie page or a TV show page, and once it airs, it's like, all right, that's it. The page kind of like dies off, and they might do some advertise on it. But the Instagram page is going to keep going where the show left off. So we're going to be filming clips.
There's
Little clips.
there's
So when
gonna be
season 2
stuff-
comes out,
Yep.
if you didn't follow the Instagram page, season 2 is going to pick up where the Instagram page left off.
Not where season 1 left off, but where season 2 left, or where the Instagram page left off.
Yeah. So the Instagram page gives you a reason to keep going to it. So like if you want it more, like every month or so, we're gonna have like 2 or 3 clips in there that lead up to when the show starts. You know how when you watch a TV show, they be like 2 years later, and they just tell you what they did. You know, they kind of give you a quick synopsis of all that. But the 2 years later is the Instagram page.
Well, let's take this opportunity to plug everything. So the show is called Annihilation of Man.
Yep.
It's going to be on Amazon Prime.
It's going to be on Amazon Prime. I don't know when they're going to release it. It's been picked up by Reveal Network as well.
Yeah, it's been picked up by Amazon and Reveal.
Yep.
Reveal already aired it, and Amazon, they have a different, you know, they don't tell you. They just we picked it up, and I know it's supposed to come out with their time frame is 2 to 12 weeks. And it's supposed to be faster than that, but
Okay.
you know what I mean? So it's like that. It's been picked up by them when it drops between them 2 to 12 weeks. That's why I haven't given it a date. I just keep saying it's coming soon. But
Right.
yeah. So it's around the corner, but I don't know when exactly.
Right.
And
okay.
and I told him I'm a dance with the guy that brought you to the dance kind of guy too.
Okay.
So I love the fact that Reveal is a new network and that it's got really cool content and that it was immediate. I mean, it was almost immediate.
It's reveal.net, REVEEL.net.
Yes.
It's not those.com. Is it .net?
I don't know.
I think it's .net.
.net? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's REVEEL. Like, yeah.
I found the app on my.
I'm not a podcast.
I found the app on my phone or on my TV.
Oh, you found it on your TV? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
and it's on. On
Okay,
a lot
okay.
of
Yeah, I
videos.
found it when I clicked on the Film Hub thing. It took me to it, but I never
But
searched
yeah,
it.
I think that. So I want to say, and I have. I'm so grateful to them. I'm grateful to Amazon too.
Yeah, yeah,
Anybody else that because there will be others that will pick
Take
it up.
chances.
And yeah, there will be others. But I'm so thankful to those guys for taking a chance with us and saying, hey, you know, this is something that we want to put on our network. So I'm
They reposted it too on the Instagram page.
yeah, they're
What's your guys' Instagram for the show?
Our personal ones or the show?
For the show. Yeah.
Annihilation of Man series.
series.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's the handle or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the handle, yeah. At,
Sure, let's go
He's a
with that.
social media guy.
Let's go with that.
yeah, at
So it
Annihilation
says.
of Man series. One word, Annihilation of Man series.
All right. Cool. Production company.
We Alive and Living.
Okay. Yeah. Did you guys make that for this?
No, that's mine. That's
He-
like my
he had
logo.
it
That's
for,
Gotcha. He's got the
so-
tattoo and everything.
yeah. It's
So don't guess
yeah.
that's changing anything.
So
But no, that's the same production that Mistakes and Monsters was under.
Oh,
Line
awesome.
in the Sand and some other stuff. So.
Yeah. Mistakes Monsters doing the same thing. Yeah.
all right, fellas, closing remarks. Anything you want to talk about? Future projects, obviously, season 2. Anything
Yeah,
else?
we'll definitely be doing a season 2. I am dreading it because I don't feel like editing anymore. But we're definitely doing a season 2. I already have all the ideas, and I got it in my head all the way to like season 8, so to say. Like that's how far I could take it, and
Yeah.
none of it is redundant or repetitive. It just goes like this way whacked out direction.
Yeah.
And we're gonna change about a third of that. So.
Yeah. Once I'm finished with it, he gonna be like, yeah, let's do this.
I love how the argumentative banter between your two characters just, encompasses your real life. you know?
No, we wasn't acting on the whole show. It was
There
just-
was no acting.
I don't give a fuck about your mother's flowers. But there are other projects I want to get in the works. I think I've mentioned a few of them to you and stuff like that. But I definitely want Annihilation of Man to be something that we are having in the forefront. It's like an idea that I feel can grow stupendously. Like I said, the Instagram page is alive. I haven't started that yet. I want to start that once it airs on every platform that picked it up.
Okay.
So there will be content on the Instagram page that leads into season 2. So in order to keep
And there
up
will
with it.
be some fill-in content as well that goes along with season 1.
Oh,
That
yeah,
may
yeah,
be
yeah.
like scenes that were deleted and things like that in season 1 that you'll be able to see.
Sweet.
Stuff like that. The soundtrack's coming out.
Yeah.
So all the music that was in the show
You
itself.
did the music too?
I did the music too. Yeah.
Awesome.
I did some of the music, but I also have people that I mess with in the music industry. So to say, but yeah, I produced the soundtrack. So to say,
Yeah.
I got the guys that put the music together, and very selective on what we picked and who we picked. This was just a small group of people. I think it was like four of us. So there's a soundtrack between 4 people put together for the movie that's coming out soon. Hopefully at the same time as the show, and product. Like we working on that right now. The
Yeah, we
T-shirts,
got a product line
stickers,
that's gonna be-
keychains for the
yeah,
show, like a lot of like fun stuff like that.
Jackets and book bags and all that
We
stuff.
want- we
Because
want
that's
to
what
turn it
every
into something-
toddler needs is a big AM.
That's right.
It's a big AM.
Yeah,
But-
bloody
Right.
mask and
Yeah,
all sorts of stuff.
So we're trying to. Yeah, all in all, I wanted to become as big as like any regular superhero comic book. So even that's not what I want it to be, but you know what I mean, like. I want to turn it into like this own little universe, so to say. Like everything now is like a universe,
Right.
And I actually have plans to break it off into different things that lead into different shows.
I think that one of the coolest parts of it is that while it is a show, while it is not to be taken literally, it's presented in a very literal way. At the same time, if you want to say it's got its own universe or whatever, yeah, it does, because it is a show, it is a narrative, it is.
It is a universe in
It is,
secretly,
but it reflects our current universe dramatically.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the ways that we're going to keep it relevant. So,
Awesome.
we're both doing other projects and things at the same time, but I think that
Well, keep us updated, and let us know when you have more content coming out. We'll talk about it on our podcast.
Definitely.
And
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
for real.
absolutely. Maybe we'll come to set and do a live episode.
Outstanding.
Talk to your.
Oh, I would love that. That'd be
yeah,
fun.
that would be fun.
Get them on the show itself.
yeah, you can kill us on the episode.
Do the interview on the show. A live interview with part of the show.
At gunpoint.
that'd be awesome.
Ask me good questions.
All right, well, that's it for this special. Thanks so much for Rax, for Joey,
Thank you.
and Mitch and Tom.
Hello.
All right.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you.
I want you to understand that there is no version of this scenario where you survive.
On my floor while I'm driving to her place. I live a fast life and it gets on her nerves. Take care of but yes, my bad, Pops. Yeah. But come on, that's not how that goes, right? I'm sorry.
In the house of God, everyone's accepted as they are.
Nah, I want to do it right. Jesus Christ. Can I go back? Can I start this all over again? I'm sorry. You ready? I'm ready. You live here, so I'm gonna shut up now. Give me a second. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. No!
There's honestly nothing on them. They cover all their tracks. We can't track them when they go live, and when they're finished, they just disappear.
You see, you're not my enemy. At least not directly. But you are an enemy. To my mental health and my everyday stability. My, how should I say, day-to-day.
So, we all watched an actual murder that was real. Yeah, he's dead. He's dead. News sources confirmed it. He's dead, and they done it again.
How are you gonna explain this, dude? Explain the fact that there was a child at the scene of a murder.
Okay, now let's go live and boom.
I want you to understand.
Come again?
I did.
What, you did what?
I came again, and then I did that third time, like, just to make sure. And it was like, boom!
And how does that relate to you committing murder?
Yeah. What?
I want you to understand no version of this scenario where you survive. Is there anything you want to say to your followers?